Hi friends. Okay. Oh. I feel like I'm like burning up under my ring light right now, but I wanted to make an intro. So here's the intro. So right now I am going to be making a tres leches cake, and I currently have it in the oven. It's probably got like 10 minutes left. So the video, unfortunately, I'm not like talking in it, but I'm trying to decide if I'm probably gonna do like a voiceover just to explain what I'm doing and explain the ingredients. If you want to use this as a tutorial, you can, because I will be sharing the recipe, and I am going to try to remember to put the recipe in the comments as well. I found it on a website. I don't remember what website it was, but yeah. So I'm gonna be making that. So that's basically gonna be this whole video. The cake is for our roommate's birthday, which is tomorrow. He turns 19, and it's Halloween, so that's pretty cool too. So I usually bake late anyways, so I always end up making people's birthday cakes or like things like basically at midnight. So I'm pretty sure the cake's probably gonna be done by the time his birthday is like boom, midnight, then cake. If not, I'm definitely gonna have it done tomorrow, because I'm trying to decide like if I want it to soak for like an hour in the milk or soak overnight in the milk, because if I let it soak overnight in the milk, it would be probably way more delicious and scrumptious. So yeah, right now I'm just waiting for the cake to bake. But I hope you guys enjoy this vlog and stay tuned for the end for the results. Love you guys. Peace and love. All right, my loves. Hello. We are here today baking this tres leches. Today our ingredients are, oh yeah, I'm showing off my little, I wrote everything down so I don't have to keep going back to the website. So you're going to need 5 fucking eggs. 5, yes, you heard that right. You're going to need 1 can of evaporated milk, 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, some cinnamon, some baking powder, and salt, vanilla extract. What else, girl? Granulated sugar and flour. You can use all-purpose flour. Okay. Period, okay. And some powdered sugar, slay. This is going to be for the frosting. I'm probably going to go get the milk and shit right now. Watch. Watch, that's what I'm going to come back with, Woody. That's Woody crazy, guys. Boom. Heavy whipping cream in some regular whole milk. If you guys don't have whole milk, I think you need whole milk for this. I'm pretty sure. That's for the frosting. So anyways, right now I'm getting my 2 bowls ready. You're actually going to need pretty much like 3 to 4 bowls, because you need to separate the eggs yolk from the whites, and then you also need 1 bowl for the dry stuff, 1 bowl for the wet stuff, and then yeah, so those are my bowls for, okay, those are my bowls for the huevitos. And right now, I think I just put the eggs in the bowl, but you're not going to want to do that, because then you're going to be like, oh my god, fuck, I'm separating the fucking shit right now, and I have nowhere to put the fucking eggs, so what the fuck. Anyways, what am I doing right now? Oh, I'm grabbing measuring cups. So you're going to need 1 cup of all-purpose flour to start with. That is 1 cup. In American terms, I don't know what the grams or any of that shit is, but I'm sure you're able to look that up if you don't use cups. I'm so sorry, I'm just an idiot American. I don't know the metric system at all. Also, right now you should put on your oven for 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Just preheat it, just in case. I always preheat it when I start. Oh yeah, I did it over my fucking... Okay, so the problem is my container that I use for the flour is too fucking small, so I can't fit 1 full cup in. So I always have to do it stupid like this. I don't know why I do this. Last night I baked some cookies, and I ended up not doing it like this. I just used half cups. So you could just do 4 half cups if you only have a half cup, obviously. But yeah, here's my idiot ass cleaning out the extra flour from the bowl because I spilled it in. And yeah, there's me dumping it in. Boom. 1 cup of all-purpose flour, girl. Slay. Period. Okay. Okay, so I just put the flour off to the side. Usually while I work, I like to put things away or off to the side so that way they're not like taking up my precious counter space. So right now we're getting into the baking powder, which for this you're gonna need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So we're gonna do that. Um, there's my 1 teaspoon, period. And then I'm pretty sure I almost forgot to do the half after this, but I like this baking powder from Sprouts because it has like a little thing at the top so you can like flatten it out so you don't need to use another utensil, which is cool. See, notice how I almost put it away and then I was like, oh wait, I need a half. So I would fucking grab my half, period, and you put that with the flour. Also, if you want, you can sift the flour, but my sifter had some rust on it, so I had to throw it away, unfortunately. But hopefully, I can get another sifter eventually. Okay, now you need 1/4 teaspoon for the salt. And this is me just trying to show that it's 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, thank you. Alright, there we go. I just used the Morton salt because this is, I don't know, this is what my mom and grandma and everybody that I knew uses for salts for baking. You can use whatever salts you like. I just used that specific one. I think that's the one that's supposed to be used for baking. I literally don't know. I know sometimes you can use sea salt. Okay, that's me saying that. I'm putting the dry bowl off to the side. Now we're going to separate the eggs into 2 different bowls. So, I think I started with putting the egg whites and egg yolks in the smaller bowls, but if you're able to, oh yeah, there's me trying to like adjust this so you guys can see. If you're able to, I would totally recommend you just do it in like other big bowls because I ended up transferring those, or at least the whites, into a bigger bowl. And you definitely need a lot of room for the egg whites because when you beat them, they become like triple the size. Plus, it's kind of messy too, so I would just recommend you use like a big bowl. But this is me trying to separate the whites from the yolks. I've never done this before, so bear with me. As you can see, I'm kind of a little bit challenged with it, but first one worked out okay, I think. Period. Putting the shell off to the side. And then this is me realizing I shouldn't have put the fucking eggs in the bowl that I was gonna use for the yolks. And then I don't know why I was like so paranoid, like I felt like I had to get like every drop of like the white in the white bowl and then the yolk in the yolk bowl. I don't know. I feel like it's probably not like that big of a deal if you get a little bit of the white in the other bowl, but in the yolk bowl. I don't know. I'm just rambling because I'm trying to like talk through this whole thing, but I'm realizing I could just cut these parts out. So I'll meet you when we're done with the eggs, okay? Boom. I noticed like little specks of shit in the bowl, so I was like, let me just try to get that shit out. I didn't really know what it was. It looked like it wasn't the shell, but it was probably just a membrane or some shit in whatever. I don't even fucking know. But anyways, here comes my man's. He didn't know I was recording. I love when he like just comes and like does whatever. He's so silly. Okay, so here is when I realized I kind of messed up on the bowls and stuff like that. So I ended up just grabbing a larger bowl and dumping the flour in. But now thinking back, I wish I would have saved the bigger bowl for the beating of the egg yolk or the whites because it would have been a lot easier, but it's okay. I thought I needed to use the big bowl for the flour. So anyways, once we separate the egg yolks from the whites, we're gonna do I think I'm just like processing right here. Let's see what we're doing next. Yeah, okay, we're putting the egg whites in that bowl. I wish I would have put them in the blue bowl though. I really should have. Okay. All right, so this is where I put the yolks in another bowl. And I also suggest that you use like 2 large bowls for this, or, at least have the eggs in large bowls. So here we're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of sugar, granulated sugar, to the egg yolks. This recipe calls for 1 total cup, but you use 3/4 of it for this part here to beat with the yolks. So there I am aggressively putting in the azúcar. And once you're done putting in the sugar, then we basically are going to bust out our mixer if you have one. If you don't, this might be really hard. There I am just tizzing me out over the mixer because I was really excited. I have never had a mixer before, or I mean, that was mine basically. Like I used to use like my grandma's and my mom's and shit. But yeah, I'm super pumped and excited, clearly, for the mixer because I'm just realizing how fast everything will be now that I have a mixer. But future me, this shit hurts my hands a lot, even though it's automatic. Okay, there's my autism. Okay. Anyways, so as I'm being a little freak, I'm just gonna beat the fucking egg yolks with the sugar, and this is called creaming. I basically had to like cover it like that because as I was like creaming this shit together, it was literally splattering everywhere. Because if you put it on fucking high and you have a tiny ass fucking bowl, obviously it's gonna go everywhere. So that's why I recommend using a bigger bowl, but unfortunately I did not have bigger bowls except for the ones that were already being used. So you're going to do this on high speed until it's pale yellow, which I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when it's done right there. So yeah, it'll basically grow into a bigger amount. So now we're going to do 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract to the egg yolk mixture. And then after we do that, we're going to do 1/3 of a cup of milk. It's going to be whole milk. That's what the recipe called for, so I'm just using whole milk. And then we're going to stir this together to combine. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm just going to stir the eggs with the vanilla in the milk and just incorporate those very gentle like. Once that's all combined, we're gonna add it to our flour mixture. So we're just gonna pour that carefully in and then stir it gently until combined. And basically, you're just gonna want to be careful not to over mix it, just in case. I don't know what happens. I don't know if it explodes or something, but the instructions said to not over mix. So make sure y'all do not over mix. Thank you. Alright guys, so now we're going to take our egg whites and we're going to put the other bowl to the side and we're just going to whip up the egg whites until they are in stiff peaks. Basically this takes like 12,000 years, but that's exactly why I wanted / needed to get the hand mixer. Oh yeah, and we're going to add the final 1/4 cup of sugar while we're doing this. You're gonna do it like midway through. Like you don't want to do it towards the end, but you also don't want to do it right in the beginning. Oh, here's my man's again. He just rubbing his belly. I don't even know what he said, but he was probably like, "Are you almost done?" And I was like, "No, probably." But yeah, so this is me mixing that, and it's almost done. So period. Hey. She's done. Hey, that's what it should look like. That's stiff peaks. They're obviously stiff and forming into peaks. Wow. We are now putting the egg whites into the rest of the batter, and you're just going to want to fold this in gently. Basically, you're not supposed to overmix. I don't know what happens But yeah, you're just supposed to like fold it in, and then you're gonna add it to a 9 by 11. I think that's the size of this dish. Whatever type of dish you have, if it's a cake dish, casserole dish, whatever you got, scrape down the bowl really good. If you have like one of those plastic flexible spatulas, that would work great here for that. You're just gonna like evenly spread out the batter in the pan. Also, you don't need to grease it or anything. And then you're gonna put it in the oven, and we're gonna let it cook for 25 to 35 minutes. And then I will check back in. Boom, there's the cake is done. As you can see, I poked 3 holes in it just to like make sure it was done. So we're gonna get started on the milk that you add into the cake. So you're gonna need obviously 1 can of sweetened condensed milk and 1 can of evaporated milk. So boom, we're gonna add that in. Make sure you also shake it up before you add it in. If you didn't, that's okay. You can always like just scrape the bottom if there's anything on the bottom. But I also want to mention that I'm just prepping the milk for this, and I'm going to put it in the fridge while the cake is still cooling, because you want the cake to be pretty much completely cool. Like, I waited until it's completely cool to add the milk because I didn't want to like curdle the milk or like ruin it at all, because it was my first time making this, so I was like really paranoid. But anyways, so we're going to add 1/4 cup of milk to the other milks. Just gonna mix that up, make sure it's well combined, and then I put it in a mason jar and I put it in the fridge and let that sit for a little bit until the cake was cool. I saw a few videos about poking the cake with chopsticks instead of a fork, and it's supposedly better, and it turned out really great for me, so I would recommend this method. I even poke holes like in the sides too, like all around it, so that way it would get in the around the corners and the edges and stuff. This is me double checking, seeing if the cake is still too hot. Trust me, my hands are clean. I obsessively wash them, but the cake was still too hot in this clip, so I ended up just like leaving it for a little bit longer and letting it cool down more, because yeah, right there I felt that it was too hot, so I was like, never mind, I'll just come back to this in a little bit. So I came back to it, and I fucking didn't end up pressing record when I started pouring the milk. So I was like, fuck. So anyways, that's me pouring the rest of the milk in. And yeah, then we're gonna put it in the fridge. I let it soak overnight. This is the next day when it's like his actual birthday. It's Halloween. So all we're gonna need to make the whipped topping is gonna be obviously heavy whipping cream, vanilla, and powdered sugar, and then we're gonna put some cinnamon on top. The kid requested cinnamon sugar on top because that's exactly what I put on the snickerdoodles that I made, and he really liked that. That's me fucking dropping shit, of course. And so we're gonna start with I don't know how I didn't notice that fucking paper towel on the back of the fucking. It's just like a little piece of paper towel. I don't know how that ended up back there, but I think I noticed it after that. Okay, anyways. So for the whipped topping, you're going to put 1 pint or 2 cups of heavy cream. So you can basically use like half of this container, or one of the small containers, I believe is a pint. And then you're going to do 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and then a ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're going to mix that all together for, honestly, until it's like the consistency of the frosting that you want. A lot of people do different consistencies, but for me, I just whipped it for a long ass time until it was the consistency I wanted. Here, I'm just showing you guys the consistency like it's a fucking blizzard at Dairy Queen. And basically, we're just gonna get the cake out and put the icing on the cake. Easy. While doing this voiceover, I learned that I'm so fucking expressive. Like, I make so many faces to everything. But I love it though. It's so slay. Look, I'm so excited. I really did that shit, bro. Fuck yeah, bro. And obviously I'm going to eat the leftovers on the spoon, which were delicious. And then I'm just going to clean up the edges so it's not a mess and doesn't make everyone's hands messy. And then we're going to get into the cinnamon. Here's where I put some cinnamon in a bowl. And then I put a little bit of sugar in the bowl too. I would say like 1 to 2 teaspoons. I don't even know. I just fucking literally just dumped it in there. So basically, you're just going to put the sugar and cinnamon in the bowl and then mix it together. And that's what I'm doing here. And then I initially started out just using the same spoon to like spread it out on top of the cake. But then I realized that I was like coming out in chunks and I didn't really like that. It wasn't like spreading out the way I wanted to. So I had to get out the sifter thingy that I have. I use it for my pasta to drain the pasta too sometimes, but yeah, I realized that it could be a sifter. Also, I thought here that I got icing on my ass because I bumped into the bowl and it was like dirty, but I didn't have anything on my ass. So that's good, I guess. But anyways, so now I'm just trying to kind of sift the cinnamon and sugar on top. And I feel like this was kind of like a messy strategy, but it ended up working out perfectly because I got like the perfect amount of cinnamon and sugar on top. And it was like a pretty like good amount, you know, like I like to have a lot on my tres leches, and so did the kid. Like I just didn't want like little bit of sprinkles on top, you know, like I wanted to taste the cinnamon. So yeah, I really like this strategy. All right, so the last step, I'm just cleaning up the extra cinnamon on the sides, and then I'm just gonna put the foil on it and put it back in the fridge, and then we get to enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys so much. There's the final product. Boom. I would highly recommend this fucking recipe. It was so fucking delicious. I want to make it again just fucking watching this back again.